How we found our New York City apartment. Looking for a New York City apartment has not been an easy adventure. I want to talk about the process of it, especially coming from another large city in America. It is very different than the experience that I've had in Washington, D.C. I put together this little notes list of things that I did and would recommend and would not recommend if you are looking to move to New York City or if you're just curious about the process. The first thing that I had to determine was whether or not I wanted to live by myself or with my best friend, Sarah. Right now, I currently live in DC by myself. I did used to have a roommate who was my best friend, Tucker, and he now lives in New York City, which I'm so excited to be back in the same city as him. I couldn't decide whether or not I wanted to live alone, at least for my first year in New York, or to live with one of my best friends who's also moving to the city. I wrote out the pros and cons list of living by myself versus living with a friend. And I determined that it makes more sense to live with my friend because number one, we could have a cute little girly apartment. Duh. Number two, I really wanted to make sure that I could feel good when I was moving to New York and not have this sense of loneliness that I think a lot of people feel, especially I'm in my late 20s. So I think a lot of people can feel that way upon moving to a new city. Just thought it would be more fun to live together. So once we determined that we were going to live together, then we had to make a list of neighborhoods that we wanted to look into and also the trade-offs that we would be willing to compromise on. I wrote out a list physically because I think that really helps in this whole process. And I'm a Virgo. So, of course, I'm going to make a list. And once we made the list, it narrowed down exactly what we were looking for. Obviously, we wanted a 2-bedroom. 2 bathrooms would be nice, but didn't think we would find that in New York. So 1 bathroom. Trade-offs were things like, if we don't have a dishwasher, we don't have laundry, like those are things that we would accept versus we didn't have any closets in the apartment, which we did see some apartments that did not have closets. That is crazy, then we would not explore those options. We decided together that we wanted to be in lower Manhattan. So really anything below Flatiron. This is the area that I usually stay in and like to be in and go out in when I visit New York. And I've been to New York many, many, many times throughout my life. I feel pretty familiar with the city and which neighborhoods I like and don't like. Started to panic a little bit because I realized once we were looking through apartments how crazy small some of these apartments were in these neighborhoods that we wanted to be in. So then I had a little freak out and I was like, do we have to go live in Brooklyn? Not that living in Brooklyn is bad. I just had my dream set on Manhattan. We made a spreadsheet between us and we added all of the links from Street Easy, which, by the way, if you are looking to move to New York, Street Easy is the way to go. That's what all of my friends told me. We'd write down all of the links of the places that we were interested in. The funny thing about touring in New York is that the turnaround time is so quick. Crazy how fast these apartments flip. People, again, told me about that and they warned me, but I didn't take that seriously, which I should have done. I was putting in tour requests for the 21st and 22nd of February, which is when I'm going to New York to look at apartments, which now we have an apartment, so we don't have to do that. The realtors were texting me back being like, yeah, text me like 3 days before because I have no idea what will be available. As a Virgo, once again, that hurt my heart to hear because I wanted to plan weeks in advance of which apartments we would be touring. But unfortunately, that's just not how it works in New York. We were sending friends to tour some of the apartments that we saw that would go up on the market. And immediately we were like, we need to get into that and look at it because it looks amazing. And they would turn out to be not amazing, which is why you have friends tour. If you do not live in New York, I cannot recommend it enough. If you know people, send them to tour for you, buy them coffee, buy them dinner, whatever it is. I personally could not move into an apartment without having a friend, a trusted friend, at least go see it. So this was really important to us. We ended up getting the exact apartment that we secured through this process of looking at Street Easy the second that it hit the market, sending a friend to go tour, and then the application process all within like a 5-hour span on a Friday, also on Valentine's Day. I'm going to make a separate video about that because that was just a whirlwind of a day. I didn't feel prepared going into that. Overall, I would say if you are looking to move to New York, Street Easy is your best friend. Everything I've heard from everybody. Broker's fees are still legal. I've seen all over TikTok and social media that they're not legal. Well, we were charged a broker's fee and they still are legal apparently today. I don't know about the future, but they are still legal today. A lawyer or somebody in the comments, please tell me what's going on with that. And the last thing I would say is be prepared for chaos. This process is not easy. There is so much involved. It happens very fast. And there's nothing that can really prepare you for the speed at which these apartments fly off the market, fly onto the market and fly off of the market. I would say just be prepared for the pure chaos that it is to find a New York City apartment. And I'm so excited to talk about how we found our apartment.